Welcome to the Kendrick Shope Show, and this segment of the show is my favorite segment where I get to talk with amazing women out there to Today's guest is probably to the Kendrick Shope Show, and this segment of the show is my favorite segment where I have ever met, and you are going to absolutely fall in love with her. This is Robyn from tinysuperheroes.com. Welcome to the show, Robyn.
Thank you so much for having me.
It is my total pleasure. So Robyn and I first met through sales school, right? Mm-hmm. And we first met through sales school, and you were actually referred to me by a mutual friend who fell in love with your business. And she said, you're going to fall in love with her business. You must know her. And I was like, I've seen a lot of businesses in 6 years. I don't fall in love with a whole lot of them, but I fell in love with Robyn's. Robyn, tell everybody what you do.
So my company is called Tiny Superheroes, and our mission is to empower kids as they overcome illness or disability. And we do that through superhero capes and a community. So we sell superhero capes, we donate superhero capes, and children all over the world, their parents nominate them through our website, and that's how they come to us, and they all become part of the Tiny Superhero Squad. With my bigger vision being really to change the way that people view illness and disability.
So if you haven't, you may have seen Robyn before. Robyn's gotten a lot of national press, Today Show, things like that. You go to her website, she's been everywhere because this is such a powerful mission. If you haven't been to tinysuperheroes.com, you want to check it out. You're going to fall in love with her business as well. But Robyn, I'm curious, how long's Tiny Superheroes been around?
We are this month celebrating our 5-year anniversary.
Happy anniversary. That's fantastic.
It feels like a big one.
Yeah, absolutely. So how did it get started? I'm sure you've answered these questions a million times, but our people don't know. So what gave you this idea? Why did you start Tiny Superheroes?
Yeah, I wish I could say I had this great plan, but it was totally on accident. So I was in 2012 making superhero capes for kids. I started with my nephew's birthday present. I had a 1-year-old, so I made him one, made our dog one. I was kind of selling them on Etsy, but not really actually selling them. And during the same period of time, I came across a blog called Blessed by Brenna, which was written by a woman in Illinois whose daughter was born at the same time as my son with a very rare and severe skin disorder. And it was I'll never forget the moment. I was in the rocking chair with my baby reading the blog, and it was she needs a superhero cape. And so I sent Brenna a cape, and that was it sparked something in me.
Great. Fantastic. And so you've been doing it ever since?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just never stopped.
Okay, so that was 5 years ago. Do you have a child personally who is sick, who would fit the criteria for Tiny Superheroes, or you were just so moved by that story?
So I was just so moved by that story, but as life has it, it's such an awesome. We have such an awesome existence because Rory was my oldest son. He was 1 at the time. And then we had another child. And then in 2017, we had our 3rd son, and he was born with a very rare foot deformity. It's 1 in 20,000 kids, called vertical talus. And it is amazing because I'd like to think that if that had happened to my first son before Tiny Superheroes, that I would have handled it gracefully. But I guarantee you I wouldn't have seen it as an opportunity. And when we knew that something was wrong with his feet and we had diagnosis and we started going to the children's hospital, it was of course you never want your child to go through anything, right? But I've been so changed by the families we've met that it was almost awesome to actually be a part of it.
That's awesome. So do you find out 1 in 20,000 is extremely rare, right?
Yeah.
Find that out in utero, or do you find that out after he's born? Or
we actually didn't get the diagnosis until he was a month old. It was very apparent something was wrong, but no one really knew what. And we are so blessed. There is one doctor in the world who specializes in vertical talus, and I live in St. Louis, and he is right here in St. Louis. And
you've got to be kidding.
What?
You gotta be kidding me.
No. Like, I have met families from all over the world who bring their baby just like mine here for months at a time. And it's like, I can't even tell you how, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, that gives me chills all over my body.
Yeah,
that's amazing. That's amazing. So I'm going to ask a hard question, and you can say none of your business. It's totally fine too. But so after you've worked with kids like that for 4 and 5 years, and then and that's an experience that is so selfless. Well, I mean, you get moved, you're rocking your baby to sleep, he's healthy, you get moved by this, and you know what a selfless thing you've done by creating this business that helps children and empowers children. But you have a healthy baby, you want to have another healthy baby, right? And then you have your third baby who's healthy, but there's something wrong. In that moment, when you realize, you said it's very obvious that something's wrong, are you mad? Are you scared because of all the stuff you've seen? Or are you just like, I mean, what is that feeling like?
So sometimes I think that I'm actually crazy, because this sounds crazy, because you would never wish anything upon your kid.
Of course.
But it's like, I have seen over and over and over and over and over again, like thousands of times, how things that are awful, like a cancer diagnosis, or, I mean, you know, a lifelong disability, or you were born with spina bifida, over and over, how that is the very thing that like is the biggest blessing in their life. Like it opens them to this amazing community. Like it changes people, that I was like grateful, because it's a really cool thing. And I'm in a unique position to have like witnessed that many times without having gone through it. And I was just grateful. I've come to like love being, I love being around families like this, and having a child with your own needs, it puts you in more opportunities to be around families, you know, and that's exactly what it did. So I wasn't mad. I mean, I was like, this is my comfort zone in a way. And I felt ready.
Awesome. That's amazing. Okay. So even if you are not blown away yet, fast enough, because Robyn's story took a really even more unique turn. How long ago, Robyn? A few months ago?
A few months ago. Yeah.
So, I was blown away by Robyn's selfless determination to empower these kids. Then you find out that Robyn has a child of her own like this, and you think, wow, this woman couldn't blow me away anymore. Note to self, don't test her, because she's about to blow you out of the water. Tell us, Robyn. Tell us about how your life changed a few months ago.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you say selfless, and I do see how like that is, I see how that is accurate, but I gain so much from what I do. Like, so, you know, I could never express how much I gain. So it doesn't feel selfless at all. But so in April, so when we send capes all over the world, and when there's an opportunity for me to meet the child, it's obviously like my favorite thing ever. And we were doing a little film spot for something, and so they needed a child that was going to deliver the cape to film. And so I just kind of went to our waiting list and found a little boy named Michael who was on our waiting list and lived locally. And I honestly didn't like overthink it. I was just like, hey, would you be interested in being on camera? We'd love to share your story, whatever. So that was in April, and I knew he was on dialysis. I really didn't understand that at all, but I knew he was like actually coming from dialysis. And again, I was like ignorant. I had no idea. So we like meet at a park, and you know, there's like a camera crew. It's fun. And the mom her name is Sarah, being interviewed. And like, I'm kind of like learning the story for the first time as she's saying it on camera. And she said something I'll never forget. She was like, when Michael is approved for the kidney transplant list, so he's going to need new kidney, we'll be looking for a living donor. And I was like so confused, because I was like, I mean, peripherally, I've heard of like kidney donation, but not really. I haven't like experienced anyone in my life doing that. But I was like, how can there be a living donor for a kid? You know, like obviously like another kid's not going to give up a kidney, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, what do you mean? And she said, well, actually an adult can give a kidney to a child. And I was like, well, I couldn't believe it. I was like, you're telling me that like there's this, I mean, the transplant list for kidneys is like 100,000 long, and kids make up a portion of that. I don't know what number, but it's like, you're telling me that like, if I'm healthy and I have kidneys that I can give, my dog is joining in here, that I could like help, you know? And so while I'm there and he wasn't on the transplant list, this like thing went off in my head. And it was just like, when he's on the list, I want to be tested to see if I'm a match. And
wait, I gotta stop right there.
Yeah.
You met this kid for the first time.
Yeah.
You didn't even know that he needed a kidney. I mean, he was one of your tiny superheroes, but you didn't know. You talked to his mama, and then you think, I've got to be tested to see if I'm a match. Do I have all that right?
Yeah, it was like clear. It was like, well, of course I need to be tested. You know?
I don't understand. Like, so I can't even get the words out. So you meet this child and you think I've got to be tested. Did you know what? Go on with your story. I'm sorry, I interrupted this great story with, wait a minute. What?
No, you're good. Well, so I didn't say anything to them, obviously, and he wasn't on the list, so there was nothing I could do about it. But it was like prominent enough that like the first I came home and I told my husband, I was like, when this kid's on the list, if I'm a match, you know? And my husband's used to me doing out of the normal things. And he's like, okay, you know? And then as fate has it, we are on Facebook all the time, and equally hardly ever, you know, like it's random when things pop up. And on August 28th, something popped up that Michael was on the list. So it was like several months later. And honestly, the post came up and the same feeling came, and I was like, I need to see if I'm a match. So that's what started. So on August 28th, I called the children's hospital that I knew he was at, and that's the process.
Great. So how do you find out if you're a match? Did they put you have to take a sample of your kidney?
So I have learned so much.
Yeah,
for one, I've learned that we all talk about it as like being a match. And there are things that match up, and blood type is super important. But where like 30 years ago, you really needed to be a match, you really don't need to be a match anymore. So like medicine can kind of make you a match if certain variables are there. So it's way less about being a match and way more about your own health. And so it was 2 months of testing on me for everything. They tested everything. So if they're trying to minimize, they're trying to do a lot of things. One, make sure you have a healthy kidney, but minimize the risk for you because they're sending a healthy person into surgery, and that's a huge risk for them.
Sure. So you went through all this testing and
then on October 26th, I met with like a group of 9 people, like a dietitian, a social worker, a financial person, a nephrologist, a surgeon, and then they all meet in a room and they like determine your fate. So I think it was a Thursday. So I knew they were like having the meeting. And at this point, Michael's family had no idea. They didn't know anything. And in my mind, I was like, I'm not going to tell them until we have a date, because that's like as confirmed as it can be, you know? And we thought coming out of that meeting that they would have an approval and have a date. And they came out with an approval, but without a date, because Michael's only 1.5 years old and my kidney is much bigger than your fist. So they needed him to grow microscopic amounts before they were comfortable doing it. So that night I video called his mom. And this is like the I've ever talked to her. And it was a very like, it's almost like it was an awesome conversation, but they're in total shock that it's like you can't even understand what's happening.
I would love to see that. Like, I can't imagine how emotional that moment is. So when you're waiting on all of these people, like all of the gods, right? The financial person, the nephrologist, the social worker, this one, they're all having this meeting about your fate. Are you nervous? Are you, is there any part of you that thinks, maybe this isn't the right thing, or you're all in at this point?
So I'm all in, but I'm also trying to like maintain a balance of peace where if something diverts it, then that's my message, you know?
Okay. So you're looking for a sign or a message, or if I'm a match, then it's a go, it's meant to be. And if not, I will be really disappointed, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah. And because, you know, this isn't really the ideal time in my life to donate a kidney.
Well, that was my next question. Right?
So
you got 3 babies.
Crazy. So in my mind, I was like, if I'm just crazy and this is not the right time, there are so many doors that could shut. But if all those doors keep staying open, then I'm going to do it. And they all stayed open.
So how old are your kids right now? Your kids?
6, 3, and 10 months.
Okay. So does the 6-year-old understand any of this?
Yeah, he's pretty insightful. And we talk about hospitals a lot in our house anyway, just because of Tiny Superheroes. So I mean, does he have any idea what it means to have a kidney transplant? No, but he definitely knows that like I'll be going to the hospital and that the reason is because we have an opportunity to help this little boy named Michael.
What amazing kids you're raising. I mean, seriously, like my daughter cries if, because she wanted to have a sleepover and we're in a hotel. And so there's not a private room for her. And so she's like, I can't have a sleepover if you hear everything I'm saying. So, I mean, amazing kids.
Well, mine cry over the very similar things. Don't worry. Don't worry.
So the surgery is 1 week. Well, when is the surgery exactly?
Next 1 week from today. On the 17th. Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to air this then on the day of your surgery.
Okay. Awesome.
We can all send you good wishes, well wishes, positive energy, all of that stuff. And you'll get, you know, lots of prayers going out, all that stuff on the day.
Let me blow your mind with one other thing. Okay. So Michael is a kid, so he's in a children's hospital, and I'm an adult, so I'm in an adult hospital. And these 2 hospitals are connected by an underground tunnel. And literally the surgeon will come into mine and take out my kidney, walk it under the tunnel, and the same surgeon will put it in.
You are kidding. Is this in St. Louis too?
Yeah. It's mind-blowing. It's so amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, okay. So you don't seem to be, but it would certainly be understandable and be okay. Not to give my permission. Are you scared?
I'm not scared. My husband's probably the one carrying, like, he's like the medical warrior, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
I would say I'm anxious, and I deal with like a lot of feelings of like, I'm putting my family in a hard place, and then we're asking other people for help, but I'm also helping Michael. It's just like, it's a lot going on that when I weigh it all, the benefits far outweigh the inconveniences. Yeah. But I have anxiety about like, I'm like the mom, you know, so I'm like the one that like balances everything, and I'm about to be a little bit out of commission, and I don't really know how it's going to go, you know? So I say I have anxiety about the like after, but
no, I get that. And you know what? Mommy, I mean, that's mommy guilt, right? Like, I mean, it may be anxiety, but it's mommy guilt. Mommy guilt kicks in if you want to go, not the same thing, not comparing it. I'm going to get hit up on Twitter for comparing these things and says that people being me, but you go in, I would assume, haven't had one, love to have one, go in for a nose job and you're worried about being out of commission. You know, yes, I know that's not the same thing. But so, yeah, but I think in this case, certainly, mommy guilt is never warranted. In your case, it just needs to be forgiven because, holy cow, you are giving life to another child who you barely know. I guess you know well now.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's circle back around. I told you this one was going to blow your mind. We've got a few minutes left. You obviously have a lot to do in a week, so I want to be respectful of your time. But let's go back to Tiny Superheroes because that's where this whole journey started. So you referenced a waiting list, right? And so I'd love for our audience to understand a little bit about that so we can plug them in on how they can get involved. So you have a waiting list of kids who are ready for CAPES. Mm-hmm. Tell us about that, if you don't mind.
So parents can nominate their children. So they come to our website and, you know, it's just like a never ending cycle now. So I mean, there's always over 100 kids who are waiting for their CAPE. And so the way that we are able to fulfill that is by people sponsoring their CAPEs. So on our website, people for $30 can sponsor a child, and you can pick who you're sponsoring, or you can have us, send it to the next kid on the waiting list. I'm excited. We're trying something new right now where we're kind of empowering the kids on the waiting list to like open their communities up to sponsor them, which I think is going to be tremendously helpful in allowing us to grow. But yeah, it's really cool. And then we have like missions that we have a membership that once they're part of the Tiny Superhero Squad, we have missions for kids to complete every month. Like my heart is really like the CAPE is the beginning of our relationship. And I've always said this, but like, I think of Tiny Superheroes as like their T-ball team, like I want it to be like an active part of their childhood where they know who they're playing with and they're proud and they have opportunities to succeed. So for me, it's very ongoing and not transactional, but it all starts with the CAPE.
I love it. That's fantastic. It all starts with the CAPE. And we are going to do a little bit of it all starting with the CAPE here today. So, Robyn, have your people send us the top 10 people, have them pick, I don't care, the top 10 people, and Kendrick Shope is going to buy their CAPE.
Oh, that's amazing.
We're going to challenge our audience to do the same thing. One of the things I know about our community is you all are one of the most giving groups of people I've ever been a part of. We've talked about being radically generous in 2018. That was a quote from Danielle Laporte when we talked with her, being radically generous in 2018. Here's your opportunity. We're spelling it out for you. We will link to the Tiny Superheroes website so that, and come on. I mean, my Starbucks costs $6 a day. So I'll go 5 days without a Starbucks and you can sponsor a CAPE. Not trying to guilt you about your Starbucks. Love my Starbucks. But this is your opportunity to give back. And if you do it for no other reason, then you hear, and most of our communities better than this, but then you hear me saying giving will help your business grow. There's not a better opportunity, a better place than to give a child empowerment and a place to belong and a place to be a child, right?
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It all starts with CAPE.
Yeah.
Anything else? If people are like, oh my gosh, I need to hear more about this woman giving her kidney away to a stranger, or I want to become more involved with Tiny Superheroes, what's the best way to contact you? Obviously, you're going to be out of commission. So what's the best way people can reach out to you on that?
Really, it's email, and through our site, if you do the contact, it will all get back to us. But we're also like always on Facebook. And the one thing I just wanted to say, because it really shocked me, and I don't mean to make this like overly emotional, but it is. So when I started, you hope when you're doing something like this and you're starting a business, you hope they send you a photo, right? It's like gold if they send you a photo back and you can like post it on Facebook. So when I'm like starting, not knowing what I'm doing, it's like, will they send me a photo? I was blown away. Not only did they send photos, but I had no idea they would wear their CAPE to surgery, or they would wear their CAPE to physical therapy, or they would wear their CAPE to the first day of school. Like these CAPEs are like magical. And it was like so empowering to me because I was thinking of it as like a little gift. And like, if it makes you happy today, totally worth my time. But it was so much more. And early on, it was probably the first 3 months, but it changed me forever. A father emailed me and he said that we had sent his son a CAPE and that they loved it and their son passed away, but it was so important to them that they buried him in his CAPE. And I mean, it changed my life because honestly, like fear is my biggest obstacle always. And that is the thing that I decided there is no obstacle big enough to stop me from doing that, so wow. That changed my whole story. And I also want to tell you that you have helped me tremendously, just like in how I think about it. So I really.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for that. I will, I'll share a little story with you, Robyn, and it's not at all as emotional as what you just shared. However, when Hallianna was in kindergarten, and we're fortunate Hallianna is healthy. She's our only one. She's going to be our only one because I almost didn't make it through childbirth. So we've got one. That's a whole other story for a whole other time. But we've got one, and she is like everybody's kids, right? I mean, the best thing in your world. I can't imagine feeling that for, like, you have 3. I can't imagine how much love is in your heart. But anyway, when we went to the garden for the first time, I don't know if it was the first day, but it was definitely the first week, maybe first month. All the kindergartners came out with, they were made out of paper, but came out with superhero capes. And on the superhero cape, the teacher had said, their kindergarten teacher had said, draw something that you're afraid to do on the back of your cape. And so on Hallianna, she had drawn jumping off the diving board. And so they had these capes, and they had cut out the paper, and the whole kindergarten class comes out wearing these capes. And when she got in the car, I said, Hallianna, tell me about your cape. And she said, well, my teacher said that I think that they had to draw something they were once afraid to do that they were able to do. And so when they were afraid to do something, to put their cape on. Now, these were, for the most part, healthy children. I mean, the ones that I knew, her friends. And Mama's hung those capes. We hung her cape in her room. Mama's hung those capes. We referred to that cape about when you're afraid. We'll remember when you were afraid to jump off the diving board. And so you take that same idea, which you had the idea long before this, but I'm just saying, you take that same idea and imagine what that does for a child who is worried about not fitting in, who is going to the doctor all the time when all the kids are playing soccer, who, whatever, I am so in love with your business. Tanya talks about French kissing life. I just want to French kiss your business. I love it. The world needs more people like you. Thank you for what you do.
Well, it means a whole lot to me for you to say that. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So you heard it here. This is, you want to grow your business in 2018? I know you do. I know that's why you're here. Start with radical gratitude. Go to tinysuperheroes.com. Look at the pictures. All it took for me was the mission sold me. But you see the pictures of these kids with all this light in their eyes, and it costs $30. So go to tinysuperheroes.com. We will post pictures of us, of what we can when we sponsor our 10 kids. Thank you so much for being here, Robyn. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. I just love you.
Oh, I feel the same way. I believe in you. I believe in your business. And today, I believe in your ability to change a kid's life.